Beautiful. Thanks, always.
Just give me one moment here.
Oh, you know, it's really relaxing and very hard.
Here we go.
Wow. You give a quick introduction, you to know your older and the executive director of the Private Planning Council. Thank you for those who are increasing, you know, those living around the room, just to house here, and then also for those that are joining us remotely. And one thing too, the common citizens historic national here that we get to come in every day and certainly inspires us in what we do. We are one of 17 from as a city, and we are really excited about the program. While she is in the room over there, I just also wanted to say, ladies and Glenn's living some of you have been dealing with over the years. She has moved on and went to a lot of other things, but certainly the work that she's done over the years in communities, right, to all of you and certainly all of us and the state. If couple things, drinks, as a women, and we do have for tea, there's coffee, muffins, and refreshments, please help yourself to that time. And they really sit back today was the Walters beyond and seeing from my perspective and working in with all the communities. It was always hearing the same conversations with many of you. And so when the family call is that we get it together, let's do clean, learn from each other, have conversations with each other. And so Paul has taken it today and your friend is over. So thank you all.
So the microphone.
Were we not hearing? It's a little bit unclear. How does that sound?
Email theirs?
So, the longest been you online, didn't hear all of that, close inside here. Thank you for joining, and now I'm going to turn this over to Paul.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Mary. I appreciate you all being here today. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to be here in one room to really go over the program. I know for some of you, you're intimately familiar with great communities, but for a lot of the new people here today, it's a good opportunity to this is a one-on-one, if you will. As to what the program's about and sort of setting the tone for reporting that's upcoming, deadlines. So we're in the midst of an upload, so I want to talk about that. So we're over to look at the designs. A lot of people miss money. And there's an important thing on right. The islands such as Rhode Island border, I go to about Renville area and all the way down like Weymouth, I go down. So yeah, you know, that's this is and then here we are 5 years. I work here. Years and plan. I will be living here from there, and I worked in Bridgewater for 16 years. Managing this program in a variety of roles, which I'm the manager's office, counsel's office, community well. So I'm ready to sit in all these different positions, and you're welcome to come in, email, Zoom, and anything, you're not alone. You just want to plan you have these. So it's going to be. All right, so. Part of this working, but now it's not working on it, so. So we representing today from all of our families. This time we service 9 and 17 communities through what's called a rebuild grant, and we'll never go into detail about that. But again, this is a wonderful opportunity to interact with you all and really get to know your stories. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to open this up to you. As a the day, this is your stories, and we definitely want to hear from you all as well. What is the Great Communities Program? So, but I'm going to benefit recently, but I have opportunities, one municipality in my region, that brought this sector guest, whether that's in the form of municipal buildings, facilities, schools, etc. So over the years since you all been designated here, and a litany of different projects, and it's one of the gamut in terms of, um, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Region Energy Planning Assistant Grant that we have through the state to help you with your administrative work and put this on. And so, and to the community, as many of you know, you have to make the plans. So, we're gonna go over what the criteria is. One is payment related to housing plan study or either facilities, that can be research and development. So that's what we see on the radar review. Is switching the chip, so that's going into renewable energy facility, and municipality. So that to this managed and we're running around. The three energy based on one is energy based on. So for you, granted your energy reduction plan at the beginning of the process, whether it was back in the thousands or more current, you had to have a baseline in terms of energy use. When it relates to wastewater, open space, buildings, with the goal in 5 years of reducing that 20%, but was to continue making sure that that is the case moving forward as we continue. Policy that relates to making sure you're maintaining your vehicles and you're seeking over any fleets and making sure that they're energy efficient, more geared towards EV, etc. Finally, the stretch goal related to gear. I just wanted to briefly go over that just so you're familiar with the plan. Of course, in order to maintain your great community status, you need to make sure that you're continuing to maintain these routine. Right. So, with all of this. So, through the rate grant, essentially, we take care of the administrative work, so you don't have to, right? So, myself, along with staff, we help take care of the majority of the report. And again, that's done through a regional energy planning assistance grant. So what that basically helps you with is once your annual presentations, those and those annual presentation. And also your brain applications. So it's a wonderful tool that allows us to really help you all. I know that a lot of you have staff, busy working on different projects, so working with us takes away a layer and makes it easier for you when you're on. As I mentioned, there's a sharing website right now, released around 23, right?
Sorry, you're talking about, please. May.
I don't know.
Really, and it was like the first round was like spring and the second round, so. So, I mean.
Yeah, so right now we're in the fall cycle. So yeah, we're going to make you aware of that, and we'll get some more of that in a month. But in terms of the different project mechanisms, they are you can find them. There's some energy conservation measures and building the decarbonization. So we'll put three main buckets. We'll hold it on the next slide. But of course, once the information's been gathered, you'll be submitting an application on either a portion of a particular project, entirety of a project, or a mix thereof. So that can be a community contribution if you so choose, or depending on what this project, I mean, you kind of like the so then you want to go into what's the conditions. So again, start to look at three ones. So there's a bucket for environmental justice community specifically. So that the law is an easy thing. There will be becoming a zero provider. And 100,000 with the second rating that. And then look on that, when you're up here, using. And then the thinking ticket would be for those who have less than 1 million accumulative awards. So more amounts is. More than or early use is 20,000. The essentially it's still 500,000. It's a 25%. And then those with $1 million in cumulative awards. So for the traditional perspective, we did not in schools, it's the same, such a time. What do we mean by prescriptive energy conservation measures and decarbonization? So prescriptive measures would be like your weatherization project, right? Or doors and windows, VFDs, walk-in refrigerator controls, light duty vehicles, plug-in hybrid, etc. Your energy conservation is a project we're talking about your building envelope, your HVAC, your water heater, etc. And decarbonization is doing with all that, including fossil fuel heating systems as well. Fossil heating systems, I should say. And then in terms of environmental justice community, we provide a link to the pipeline where you can bring the state definition, which basically 65% for community 65% or less of the annual median income. If 40% of the population identifies as a minority, as well as 23% of households speaking English, less than so again, click that link and it will bring you right to the communities that fall within that. For us, it would be Brockton, Hanover, Bridgewater, Halifax, but also Marshall, because we have to work with the town.
That is the movie in the blocks for economic justice community. So if you have the Brockton, almost 99 community, but in Hanover, there might only be one or two blocks that. So if you were doing a live project, you were in Hanover, and it was in that area, or sold in that area, you would be able to apply for the additional funding leverage and funding. So they're trying to leverage funding for environmental justice. So some communities have environmental justice areas.
I want once to get into deadlines, particularly with the current law and the deadline. Approaching, if you will. So for us, we want to set internal deadlines and expectations with you. So, so the deadline for us, if you've completed your fund report and you're ready to go on the full labs, and you say, let us know that you're planning to apply no later than September 2nd at 2 o'clock. So this lets me know, hey, we're ready to go. Let's get going on the project. Then Larry comes to me, let me know by September 2nd. And then hopefully we need at least 3 or 4 weeks to start prepping for the end. So making sure we have enough time to gather all the information. If you want, it's in a format that's readable for everyone. It's, but it's everything before. Reviewing, just given the time frame that we have now, this is gonna vary year to year. Say October 7th, 2024 by 12 noon at the latest to get us all that material. Knowing that we're gonna be submitting between October 7th and October 18th being the final deadline that time. So there'll be plenty of time in case there's any issues or anything that needs to be resolved between the 7th and the 18th. We're gonna make sure we're within the lines of the town forward. uh, Right, so when we do the reporting for you all, obviously there's certain information that we're gonna need to give. Particularly that as you do the background work, we're working with the service provider to do the money to go into the buildings and make sure all the work is done. Yeah, knowing that more complex projects like electrification, decarbonization, and require more infrastructure, right? So we, if you want the due diligence is starting now. And it's by September 2nd, you can say, hey, we're ready to go to get this. And then from there, it's again working with your utility provider, working with your energy service provider on understanding facility information, what the intent of the project is, what your savings. So that's one grid, another source, making sure you're reaching out to them if they're incentives available. And then finally, as many of you know, putting that into a report, making sure that's over to me with all the details, as well as bring that information in the DOR. So, the other thing I wanted to mention too, in terms of expectations, is that, once you file an application for a specific project, if you find that there's going to be a change within the project, definitely want to alert myself so I can alert DOER of that change, just to make sure that there's no images on the. So we want to make sure that what the application remains the same throughout, then of course, if there is changes, it's listening, but. So not only is it about applications, but it's about reporting, right? So right now, in the thick of your body reports, those that. So final report deadline is August 30th, but I want to reach out to many of you about that deadline. Once the reminders, so. For then, essentially what we need is invoices, increase of checks as it relates to your projects, project photographs, where you don't. And then it's really empty of any lessons learned on the project or any challenges that you're having. You said it's spoken with the majority of you all, but ideally in order to make sure you're ready for full application. We want this information by August 23rd, most of business. Unless obviously it's spoken to you, then, have permission to do that. It's that important of it, but there's also the annual reports that are covering as well. And on the 15th, like that. So ideally, we'll be reaching out to you all around the October time frame to gather your information as it relates to resuming your permitting, the building, inventory, the vehicle transfers, things along those lines. Maybe working with your company directors, building directors, yourselves, etc. So ideally, given the time frame, if we could get all that information in on November 1st, by close of business, that would be great. Or just again, give us a couple of weeks and start to make our information.
That's here. One of the things I'm planning to do is even your non-legal tools. Like this year, when I'm going to run more, I'm start gathering down. If you know you have non-legal tools, like you know you have gasoline and diesel, propane and oil, you can go to your phone department or the DPW and ask them for the number of gallons for gas and diesel for the year. You don't need to know where, when, what vehicle, just the annual use. So we're going to compare it to your baseline. Oil or propane you need by building, by delivery receipt, but a lot of times they print that out for you and it comes based on the invoices, like you have this software. That's something you can start gathering early, so Hall as he receives it, was going to be putting it into Mass Energy and site for you.
Yeah. So I just probably need a.
Well, in some ways, you're in the bottom report on that MEI webpage. I'm going to do. For other towns, it depends. You do it for some towns that just have gas, and diesel. If you have, I've done it for communities where if they're in a sort of bond, they don't know, they have refund assistance, administrative assistance. So anytime you, another thing to bring up is that there is a annual report on numbers that started as a. We have these 4 scheduled sessions, and you can join that and learn more about how to do things on your own. But if you have OCPC to support you, it would be with your. Yeah, the only competitive supply, like you have competitive supply of electricity or natural gas. That's automatically uploaded, basically all I'm checking for. For your checking for, Paul checking for is to make sure that it's haven't been dropped. For example, like if you already changed account numbers, sometimes an account will drop out of there and you might have to like check it, make sure I'm meeting, one of your invoices so we can add the account number. And there change, sometimes that happens, like if there was a meter and MEI associated with the account. It might be positive from, it doesn't happen very often. We'll find that National Grid is updating, I think their natural gas funds right now. I think they're in the process, and we're going to MEI support, to make sure that is, we're trying to make sure there's no things. For you during any report season, so we're working with MEI now from now down. So that fall where you don't have to go in and update all your we're doing some kind of. Something like that. So. Yeah, we changed their boundary. Yeah, that's just seems like electric now. National Grid is doing things now. Source, but we spot check that. That seemed like it went over there. You didn't see a lot of issues, but you see it. See major issues with that source coming forward. We wanna. And yeah, I want to know, so we put them, we'll want to make sure that your buildings have a heating source and electric source. And that's usually like, major problems in your natural gas, it's a heating building, like, something.
All right, and finally, just again, some example of the project to do with the program, so. Organization, so. We're certain, like, outdoor equipment. Lighting upgrades, they can do it, probably the lighting projects. With it, along with that. And then, of course, you know, the mechanical project, right? It's there, it's good, kind of like system. Or the projects, so. With them. I'm now gonna, let's put it at the end, but I do want to turn it over to Nathan Grass, a little bit additional.
For promoting the climate leader program. It's for you to still be a great communities who want to take the next step. There. And these are the climate plans that we're going to have to 2021. We have really large commitments, we're going to for 2030 and 2050. So this program is meant to help communities state regional goals. So it all meet our collective but very ambitious goals. So it's going to be very similar. You would still be a green community, but if you're interested in considering becoming a climate leader, there's going to be 5 criteria. And I put them up here and I show them as kind of a ladder across. So like with green communities, you adopt it as a great site in renewable energy or alternative energy generation, R&D or manufacturing.
climate leader, we're gonna have you establish and maintain a local committee to advise, coordinate, and lead clean energy and climate activities. Some of you already have them. Some of you have an energy committee that's active, or sustainability committee, or climate action committee. And if you have those, that would probably be able to, you just want to know, see meeting minutes to know they're meeting regularly, and that it would meet the requirement, and then you'd be able to check the funds. If you don't have a committee like that, you'd want to establish one to be compliant. The reason is, you know, it's going to take a grassroots approach. It's going to take a village to get everyone to want to decarbonize not only their homes, but we're envisioning something that will be needed and all kinds of things to roll this out. This funding will only, well, there'll be additional grant funding, but it will only be for municipal buildings. But we want to start having more pushing to residents, commercial, that kind of thing. And your energy committees, a lot of times the people have already done these things. They're driving EVs and hybrids. They put heat pumps in their own, they have solar. So they're better to advise other neighbors about how they did it, kind of thing. So in green communities, you had to adopt an expedited permitting process. So with climate leaders, we're looking for a municipal decarbonization commitment. So this is something you probably would have done at town meeting or through your town council. As simple as we have a climate action plan and we have an executive summary and seven goals to they want to do. We want to reduce emissions in our buildings. With green communities, we're going to create an energy reduction plan to reduce energy use by 20% over 5 years. With climate leaders, you're going to go a step further and you're going to create a municipal decarbonization roadmap for 2030 and 2050 goals. So what is that? What that's going to be is we're going to look at your buildings and we're going to look how we can reduce emissions. So we're going to use events. So we're not going to, we're going to get rid of a building in 5 years. We're not going to start doing major renovations to it. But if you're going to identify the opportunity in this building, be electrified. When this building has solar. What's the heating, end of life heating system? And when it comes to end of life, would we transition to a fossil fuel free equipment? Or could it do biofuel? Or, you know, the like. So we're going to use those. We're going to get inside and see what you have in your buildings and see how we can transition to meet our 2030 and 2050 goals. Okay. And we have technical assistance that will help you do that. So you don't have to do it all internally. DOER would pay, we have consultants, you would have to apply for technical assistance. And largely those consultants that we employ would be helping you create your decarbonization group. So that would be the main thing. And then with green communities, again, on this left side, you purchase only fuel efficient vehicles, you follow the standard fuel efficient vehicle policy. With climate leaders, you'd be adopting a ZEV first vehicle policy. So what that means is you're going to go to battery electric, hybrid, plug-in electric, or fuel cell technology when it's appropriate and when it's manageable. There's still not a lot of technology available for heavyweight vehicles and that kind of thing. There will be some funding to help support this through the grant. So I'll just let you know that when the ZEV first policy doesn't apply, the underlying policy will be the fuel efficient vehicle policy. So if you're purchasing a heavyweight vehicle and there's no alternative, you would fall back on the green communities policy. Or if you were looking at a hybrid police cruiser, which is currently exempt, if you couldn't get a plug-in hybrid, or for that, if we wanted you to upsell that, then you would fall back on the requirements in the green communities program, the fuel efficient vehicle policy. So on the left side, minimize life cycle costs of new construction. You want to adopt the stretch code to become a green community. With the climate leaders, you have to adopt specialized adoption code. So this is a more advanced building code. It involves, like, if you put fossil fuels into a new building, you have to have it pre-wired for electrification. In certain instances, you have to have solar PV. So it's in depth. If you were interested in that, you bring in a code consultant to educate both your electric board, your elected boards and staff, and we would do a public information session. Okay, so that's the really, honestly, that's the heavy lift, specialized adopting code. It's not that different than really the stretch code right now. They're the STRET code evolved July 1 again. And so the FERS ratings are very similar. If you remember what those ratings are. But it does have some other impacts on commercial construction, solar PV and the like. So we would definitely educate everyone. This is something I just, want to see a town council adopt without bringing it up, calling it up to people. Yeah, so that's, I think, probably everything with comp leaders that we anticipate that we're gonna have pretty good grants. So I can't say how much, but I would say they're going to be at least decarbonization grant, 500,000 or more. And right now, we're thinking that we might be able to have a green community grant at the end of complete. So stay tuned. I'm anticipating a bond will be released for the climate leaders grant, so you can see more about what will be available for funding. And if you're interested in pursuing climate leaders, we can talk about that and get you some technical assistance to decarbonize.
Like you said. All right, so at this point, I do want to open it up for questions, but I do want to make this interactive, right? Not just one, I want to hear your stories, right, about how the projects that you've done has impacted your community, whether it's from a financial standpoint, whether it's from freed up your ability to do a capital project, just really hearing your story about how programs really impacted your community. Before I do that, just want to take some questions, both on the virtual side and here in person. So, if you have any, go to the virtual side, any questions?
Also, great hearing is done cover anything that. Definitely. I think.
Well, it's in the legislation. When the state legislature changed the green communities guidance, I think it was last year, the year before, to correct the climate bill. They said that, pretty much they took out the fossil fuel project, you can't use 25 anymore, to those projects that expedited permit method. And it very much focuses on decarbonization. So it doesn't keep you from doing that on your own, but it really, we're not gonna get any funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, SBA, to my knowledge, is saying that even if you're not in a community, they're not building, school building, infrastructure, standard, you build it to specialize, they'll give you. So what we do something that in terms of doing this, we're still helping with performance. And weatherization, so we do your bonds to still on buildings, but we will pay the oil burn. And which we have a relevant goals for 2030 and 2050 as a state, and because it's legislation, we relevant. So we need to work out to these goals and so we have to bring you on. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
The areas in there. You can write down the down ID. It's there. I got about like that I get that look. But I would
Probably, I would say that it's not necessarily something we've talked about. I would have to, it's not on probably, but I do understand that that's a figure. That you need a larger generator to carry the load of the heat pumps. And I'm gonna bring that back and look at maybe possibly either the climate meter on. If that's something that they would consider as part of one of those larger decarbonization projects, for example. Something where you have a building or you're required to run it or pushing on some. For example, yeah, it's on a lot of figuring out when people electrify, there are people are allowed to put in generators. They're not, it's not running the gas to the house, it's like on the outside of the house. If they need to, but with schools and municipal buildings, we understand that it could be an issue because they've not been working at shelter meeting wing or emergency shelters. I'm not sure, I can't, like, it's not in the pond right now to cover the generator, it doesn't seem energy completely. But as part of a larger improvisation project, I can ask if it's something that they would consider. The other thing that I would say is we do not need to right now take out the fossil fuel system still as of now. You've been allowed to run them currently, we will to accept things. But that can change too. The pond is revisited every year. So right now, if you were, if I could decarbonize the found long, the system was only, 12 years old, still maybe insane, but in pumps it, you have to work them out, say. You have to follow the Massey requirements, and set goals dial back when it's so many things. So that you're not necessarily, you're not, it's gotta be like at 35, 32, whatever the Massey. Really wasn't figuring it out. Yeah, and then recordings inside with us, and we were doing those projects all the time. Because you're lots of use, and we do have buildings, are still using fossil fuels. Okay, it's not like you're gonna make the fossil fuels, it might be right, so it doesn't make sense every year, we're gonna be trying to make them, renewable and different things, so our goal is to electrify everything we can. But we know that some of you are sitting in buildings that over 100. Maybe so. Probably see. We're doing some things like that when we want these studies that we can look at. I mean,
Yeah.
Gonna be a challenging time. So I know that they're doing a larger survey with MSBA with several hundred lines of points. I saw that on their website, so we look at some see what, so. I understand that it's especially. It's a really good question, raised talking about, 2021. Right, for any grant, I'm like you down here. Oh, no, I know, you can hear them yourself. No, I know. But I'm we're not marketing things with solar and creative experience, but our district's creative and climate reading. Okay, so not to be confused. The reason we don't pay for solar PV with rates, we didn't typically anyway, okay, so upon change for years, because we know there's other ways to get. And, get a third party, you can work with some, you can do a lot of different things to put in a solar canopy or do a, solar, buildings providing same. Opportunities that came out here, but a lot of grants available to you. But improvements in existing. That's our mission, we're trying to improve that, and trying to reduce your baseline, use by 20%. Power doesn't overall reduce your baseline energy use, because coming from another source. Maybe one side of the grand community, because we think solar, and it's gonna sound weird, I don't like a non-meter fuel. So if you buy solar, we always want to know how much energy you're using before you start incorporating the solar, because we're going to reduce it so that the solar below the value. So we think the solar is kind of going to fuel maybe communities. We want to, we don't want to do it. We want to be found. And then I don't need it in the so that's a good word. Oh, nothing right that been calculated and the annual report. I mean, we're thinking like if you're just for a lot of schools, going to a PBM and they're putting the building. Yeah. If you're doing level low, if you're using it, you get a higher level, you get a metering points. When you really want to have on your report, the thing that later is, that solar on the building is being fed right into the meter, what it would look like to us, is that we're not using as much. It's there, and we work around it annually, you think that we could do that, there's so many people. It's so early. So, it's Kathy, I'm doing that, you source, we don't really do that, but I'm aware of it, but certainly, and ongoing financing is a great thing, they call it OPR, 0% financing, it's, places love it, some. So, I don't, have communities that are 20%, we love OPR, it's not going to totally, and others, either comments that say, no, I don't like OPR, it's whatever. So you need to put out a house, like, you start to think that, I think that's a good idea. Or the house, something that, but a lot of communities are getting a lot of energy into see what them. They are really just years. Things are making right. Like, I'm here to do a boiler, there might not be incentives, they might allow it, I don't really know, but I think all that stuff is gonna close down, I don't think fossil. But then be paid for in the next 3 year plan in terms of incentives. So I think, the windows closing. But
Anybody else, any other questions?
Point around the grant, so I had been on the client was. They go back and someday figure out where they have to. They work out they work for that, is a month that the models when the weekend, okay. So they had that. But they work because the
so you can continue no more in life when you're preferred provider of the ability. Like if you source one. Well, then it's just like $300,000, it's a lot of money, so you can't do that. So they get it out, they work with the rep outside between utility software, so they can work with started on incentives, so they can go out. What you want to do, you do not have steps through, okay, with your head on your board, and you can't get them right now. And you can probably see about doing anything about you, and see if they can help in the information, I have a resource. But you're not gonna grant it. And so many people come to the. And then you can do is there's an administrative line, item, you're allowed to go and 1,000 on what kind of grants. It's part of your grant, you get. Either for fire, not, but some like, just give you the work. Once again, and you are from planning, but we have like administrative back, there's a content for values and pay them, administrative money that. A lot of times what we see is, $5,000, they might still be in some region, in the planning agency to do some of the administrative work for them, they might sign some of the money for the planning first. And they use the money, you need to go back and actually converse with the planning and even administrator. For on the part of that, when you're in full time, but I can go back to either the general fund or the grant. And if you ran into something or estimated incentive came in low, you might be able to use them. Like pull it over. Because the thing about competitive grants, when once you apply, that's what that's your application. You can't go back and amend it, so we can reduce it, but we can't make it. So a lot of people like a little money, it's, I can't say it's fifty, but they like that administrative line item. So it's not only with administrative, but it can get. For example, when you find stuff. and you need to get them. It's typically your veteran. Something we could buy. You definitely don't have to see them if they are the bandwidth.
Very well, explained. Thank you. Well,
Well, for the time, and we've done. The common about because we get very bad in front of you. Then you even, when you down in the store and you see, the papers together.
I think we do that. Like the one.
So, you can see what you're doing. Better for you. And they all came in and on Uber and then you on Uber team. And then it's never, yeah, anything else missing something, it needs to do with the you need to be there. Know that it's doing it out in the but doing it. Make sure that you're only not in the you're looking for something. I have to. Yeah, like the second. This is our time for us to do the application, video, sign.
Like, it was definitely quick, right? At least let it know, when flying by in a second. And then, obviously that'll give us three, one. So with that, one deadline in the 7th and the 18th. So when the 7th rolls around, I have everything I need. I have that time and it's needs to go.
Yeah. For you, things that I really like. They have experience in the rooms. To be honest, I know, like, if you're coming down and buy clothes on the ground and on the third, and you want to apply it on. That needs to be clean. You have to give this on first to make sure that you're listening to be able to by on 30th. Someone can see it last. They turn around the voices and with the payment back. I can't just satisfaction when you're not this time, like wrong, you do get around to you, maybe something out on. And then, we'll put together the plan for you. So you already have some repo administrative in place. You have people in place, you use administrator, like I know Duxbury currently going to have a management manager for in a lot of it. Then you can remove administrator, sorry. Because everything down there, like, so I just, you think. Of 6 months, probably or email me and you can check with anybody.
Anytime available, let me get it. Great. Did anybody want the person? Questions? I know we have. Well, tonight we have State of Ryan, Fred Russell, and one. Correct. Sorry if I put your last name on them.
Which one do you have?
Is there any more questions? I do want to make this at least a little bit interactive with the last 10 minutes that we have with you guys. It's really a small group here, just going around, just introduce who you are, where you're from, what your role is with your community, and talk about maybe a project in a year that was memorable for you that really impacted your community and positive way. So, you left. So, nice direct. The process of greatness. Although we get to figure out. When so I've been lighted. With this will fall over the eyes, right? Where,
No, I didn't say. So when we do how we lighting in schools at this point,
The large projects, but you certainly could. And you have to look at it. Sources of online battery registry, so I don't know if you would down here on the public library.
So I don't like a huge thing, so we don't pay for it anymore, in fact, something about. Communities may live here with a lot of things, we've got a big community.
And so that's where we like was working on a project. I said, lighting incentives are likely going away. And you can maybe like double the incentive. I said, find a way to get that done by 0% financing. Yeah, some we are, but they have 0% financing, some pieces of well for them. Getting those those only like projects done now will save you money in the long run. We won't pay for it. But we've got a large utility incentive most likely. So if you want to try to put you, then you can. So. We can ask you, use Frank, maybe the guys too, so we can ask, Frank to revisit the incentive to see if there's some way we can work with. What was some sort of project done for the. Yeah.
Fine.
On that list, usually, you have to repeat that they have $1 million in grants or more. So you should be looking at spending on the list, and I can remind you when I'm not here and I can look at my computer. You're eligible for things to do with doing something, not everybody figured out a plan, you're eligible, you might be eligible for this, you may have to do with the state various funds. So what's on money and then provide the vehicle. So a lot of, once you get to that 20%, we're all happy. So want to help you doing.
Family planning, we working with different funded, implement the charging stations. Thank you, building, so that how we been working, expected more communities. Right.
And I used to work for the city of Rockland, so I should speak on some of the projects we've done over the years. And I was prior to being here with the city of Rockland for decades. So Brockton has been at the forefront when it comes to many lighting projects, basically brand new LED lights and just about all the overall lighting. So that well over $1 million project. Of course, now in certain years towards electric vehicle charging stations. Be an amazing project once it's done, so.
And I want to just add, Brockton has done a lot of work. Brockton has a lot of schools, so they have over 20, I want to say 26 schools or something like that. So you can imagine how long it takes. You got a $500,000 grant because of your designation grant, because of its population and income that's in the formula. And they did for $500,000 worth of lighting projects, and you've done a lot of OBR, so you've done a lot of. You have really seen a large reduction in your energy use. So that's been a great thing from a financial perspective. And when you walk through those Brockton school buildings, some of them are very old, but lovingly maintained, I have to say, because I've been in quite a few of them on site inspections. It improves the LED lighting, does a lot to improve just the way the building feels. So occupant comfort, teachers really appreciate the controls, being able to have part of the room dark when they're using like a smart board, that kind of thing. So LED lighting, although we only do it in the schools right now, and there's less of that, we're not doing as much of that. We're seeing incentives go away. A lot of it's already been done, and we understand, especially in big communities, that there's still work to be done because they have so many schools.
Just to add, sorry, but just that even changing lights out, in fact, you don't have to change out fluorescents all the time, they just last longer. I mean, it's a huge savings, so.
It is. It is.
Great.
You're all in a different place. Some people are new to green communities, some people are not green communities yet. You know, everyone's in a kind of a different place and we can learn from each other, so this was kind of a nice thing to bring people together. And wherever you're at in your green communities journey, or if you're looking to be a climate leader, you know, check in with me, check in with Paul, and we're gonna help you, we'll walk you through, you know, the steps and try to meet you where you're at, because we know every community is at a different place. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
Brian Kiley, Facilities Manager for the town of East Bridgewater. We got our designation as a green community 2 years ago. Since then, we have lighting retrofits in all of the schools. In all municipal buildings, with the exception of the DPW. I didn't do my office area yet. But we're kind of running out of things to do. You know, and I know I wanted to do some more lighting, but I can't do grant funding for that, but I can get an incentive back from National Grid. So there's some weatherization we can do,
controls,
control.
building management systems.
Controls are gonna be tricky. One of the buildings is still pneumatics and it's just.
Yeah, but there's the utilities are giving great incentives for that now. To upgrading those controls, so it's something that's worth having Chris Collins look at.
Okay.
So controls are a big thing, we do lots of controls, lots of building management systems. EOC training, building operator certification, I wanna put a plug in for that, so that, it is time it's time, like you have to put some time in to do it, it's not like going to a 2-hour program, I wanna say it's probably 27 hours of that, some of it's virtual, some of it's in person, but they teach you how to operate your system, especially in a schools setting, it's very important. You can save up to, they estimate you could save between 7 and 11% of your overall building energy through VOC training, just proper training.
That, I found that very difficult to do with the schools,
Have you?
yes.
You mean the savings?
During COVID, we realized, how important air exchange
Yep.
rates are. And there's no teachers here, but they wouldn't come back to work until we certified all that. They wanted, you know, a building that was built in 1951 to conform to the 21st century HVAC regulations, and it's just impossible. You know, you're dealing with a classroom unit from 1951, it's not gonna do what they think it's gonna do.
Yep.
So to meet those air exchange rates, we barely met them at one of the schools. And they did come back to work, but it's very difficult because we make everything work as much as we can, but then they open the window,
Yeah,
the heat's on. And that's in one of these buildings in particular, you walk by there in the winter and half the windows are open, and I know the heat's cranking.
yeah, no, we saw
It's
that.
very tough, you know, I just see dollars going out the window, but
We do some upgrades to the univents too. Have Chris Collins look at anything that you're having difficulty with. We understand that ventilation is a public health issue, and we know during the COVID, specifically the heights of COVID, CARES Act paid for a lot of ventilation improvements in buildings. But whenever you're running dehumidification or fans or exhaust or any of those things, there's an energy like use. I don't want to say an energy tax, but you're definitely going to be using more energy. So the more efficient the equipment, the better, but public health is always going to be a priority. So we understand that. We really kind of weren't looking at your energy use. We were kind of in 2020 and 2021, we understood it was all going to go through the window because it was literally going through the window. I was going into buildings and the windows were open and the heat was on.
and we do utilize the administrative services of Old Colony. Anybody that is new here, it's money well spent.
Yeah, and I mean, we see CO2, we see with the BMS systems, when the building management systems, we see people putting in like CO2 sensors and things so that the buildings can, you know, they know when the auditorium is full, for example, because there's a CO2 sensor and it will push fresh air into the auditorium, those kind of things. The cafeteria, when it's in use, or the gym, it will push fresh air. So there's a lot of things that they can do to help improve system energy use, but still push ventilation. So, you know, your vendor can help you with that.
Right.
And you can also talk to some of like, what I always suggest is talking to your peers. And Chris Collins has done a lot of work, for example, in a lot of buildings, and he might be able to tell you someone who has made some of these improvements in their building, and then you can talk to a person in the same job that you have, facility staff, what are you using, is it easy to use? Has this made a difference in your energy bills and the building performance, or, why do it if everyone's overriding it? I understand what you're saying, but you might be able to, find a system that you can use from home. People are loving these controls that you can log in with your phone. It gives you alerts when things aren't working.
Yeah, it's good for that.
Well, yeah, it follows you, but it's better than having to get in the car and go there at night. All right, so that being said, you know where I'm going with that, so investigate. I haven't had anyone run out of money to spend. So don't worry, we'll find projects for you to do.
Okay.
Vehicles, there's vehicles.
They do buy hybrid cruises.
Yeah.
Which are good and bad. Fleet maintenance does not like working on them.
Yeah.
Because they're not set up to take care of them.
We're looking at training opportunities too.
That'd be
For that.
good. That'd be good.
Yeah, I think that there are some opportunities. I think vocationally, we're working with Clean Energy Center to try and make more trainings available. So facilities people will be more welcoming to these types of vehicles. No one likes change. You also have to be able to charge them. If you have a plug-in hybrid, you have to be able to charge it. And you have to have charging stations that are operational. So. Important.
Thank you so much.
Yes, my name is David Collins. I am the energy manager of the town of Duxbury. I replaced some big shoes with Barbara Bartlett. She was a townie and very good at her job. She retired a year and a half ago, and I took over a year ago. I've gone through 3 director of facilities in the last 3 years. So that's been a challenge for the town. So I'm new at this, I'm new at the grants. And hopefully I can figure it out, get some monies for the town, because they like that. And that's about it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hop in for Kevin because he's relatively new and hasn't had any green communities fund yet. So I'm Lachey, the town planner for Abington, and Kevin's the deputy town planner in Abington. We've been through one whole green communities grant cycle with weather stripping and a heat pump, and we did mostly schools, but we did also do some work at our senior center, and now we are waiting for parts and equipment to do heat pumps at our senior center, which is very exciting. And just because we had some opera money we could use, we're gonna do it. So, yeah, so all of that I hope will happen September, October-ish. And so I had a quick question for you.
Okay.
What about upgrading? We installed EV chargers at the municipal compound of the town hall library.
Yep.
What about upgrading them
So
to the fast chargers? I guess the technology is gonna continue to evolve.
Yeah. So when was that? And who paid for it? Did we pay for it?
No, we got paid for with incentives and we paid a small portion of it.
So we only pay $7,500, up to $7,500 for charging stations. So we will pay for if you have broken charging stations, or you want to get them off the state bid list, or they actually are now qualifying as decarbonization. Because of the way the legislation was written. You can definitely put in for up to $7,500. They are available on the state bid list. Our pond does not say that it's limited to type 2, level 2 chargers anymore, I noticed. So you can certainly ask the question if you can get a level 3 charger. I don't know how much they cost off the top of my head.
I don't
But
know.
it should be fairly plug and play as long as the infrastructure can support it. But that would be a good question for, Chris Collins, if he's, you use Chris Collins too, right? Oh, Guardian. Oh,
We use Guardian for that, but we're using Kevin Kelly. Do you know him? Out of Bourne.
I don't know. I'm not sure who it is, but it
Okay.
doesn't matter. I'm not,
Yeah,
I mean, as long as you're following procurement best practices.
yeah.
But the point is that you can have someone look at a price proposal to swap out for a future grant. And if it's just, you know, because you're not gonna install them yourself, the town's not gonna do it, so, you know, but we will only pay up to $7,500 to do that.
Okay,
And you would want to, if it's a functioning charging station, you're probably gonna need to make a explanation for why it's important for you to get an upgrade, do you know what I'm saying?
Yep, yep.
If it doesn't work, it's,
actually,
makes
they're
sense.
working and they're being used.
Yeah.
I am amazed at how often they're being used, and
That's fantastic, so it's good for you all to hear that. Charging
I
station.
really, because they're actually right outside my window.
Yeah.
So I see people all day plugging in now.
Yeah, great.
I'm amazed.
Are they free?
No, but the price is kind of low. I said that I had done that like a year ago price. So I think that's why I'm seeing a lot of business.
Yeah,
I'm kind of cheap around them.
so the thing is too, when you ask for a charging station, you can ask for a very small amount, like a 1-year service agreement or something like that, you can ask.
We did do that too.
If there's funding within that 7,500, you know, you can ask for the service and maintenance, it's limited to how long we pay for it. So, but if you can get it in under the 7,500, you could ask for that. And networking, that kind of thing. You know, if it falls under that $7,500, I don't know with a level 3, how much is involved. So when people put in the charging stations, the level 2, a lot of times there wasn't even back in the day, we didn't even do the thing where you could put a credit card and charge. So a lot of them were free, it was just you plugged in and, you know, the town was paying for it. More and more towns are upgrading to ones that people have to pay for. Because they were getting aggravated, I think, seeing a lot of Teslas sitting in municipal lots. And not having like the building official being able to charge their car and that kind of thing. So certainly you can look at upgrading charging stations and adding networking. You just have to, you know, have your techs look at that. And now there's also some rules like about ADA. We don't necessarily have it as part of a comp, but I know EVIP pays for these things if you're trying to do a lot. Look at all your resources. EVIP also has grants for charging stations and for vehicles and very similar to what we pay for. They don't let you piggyback the money though, okay? So EVIP will say, if you're getting EVIP funding, you can't use Green Communities funding. So just keep that in mind. But they might have different deadlines and you might be able to apply for both. And you might be able to get twice as much charging goodness. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. And I know we're a little bit over, but I do want to get to Sean from our OCPC perspective, but also want to get to the folks on virtual. And we apologize for the audio issues. Not sure what happened, but this is being recorded and we'll make sure to send it out to all of you.
Me first or the first?
You really quick, just.
Okay, sure. My name's Sean Bailey. I'm a senior transportation planner. I've been working with Green Communities off and on since 2020 when the economic development departments were a little short-staffed. I think I've worked with all the towns that are here. I know I helped East Bridgewater with the designation grant. And they got the lighting funding for the municipal buildings as a loophole for the designation grant. But you know, we've done grants, final reports, annual reports, basically everything. And you know, happy to help with any grants or reports that you need, Paul.
Awesome, thanks, Sean. All right, so do want to get to you guys. So let's see, who do we have left on here? William Chenard, I think from the town of Bridgewater, I believe,
Pembroke.
or Pembroke. My apologies. Are you still with us, William? Can you hear us? Hey, let's try Fred Russell from Marshfield. Fred, are you still on? Can you hear us? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Some audio issues.
Well, I can tell you that these gentlemen both have my email and my phone number. So if you have any questions, I don't know if they can hear you, can type it into the chat. Please give me a ring. If there's anything I can do for you, feel free to reach out. Pembroke and Marshfield are two towns that have been Green Communities for quite a long time. They've done a lot of work on their buildings. Marshfield works with OCPC in an administrative capacity to do a lot of their things, as does Pembroke. So Marshfield, doesn't have REPA, but you work with them from an administrative perspective, and Pembroke has REPA, and they work with you from an administrative perspective as well. And they've done a lot of projects as well, both of those communities, so.
Great, fantastic. All right, so this concludes the first ever Green Communities Annual Workshop. I appreciate all of you and your time. Again, I went a little over, but hopefully at some point we'll do this again. Just make sure that, you know, we're all on the same page. Just again, be mindful of the deadlines we talked about. And I'm always available, as well as Lisa. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And thank you all to the virtual, if you can hear me.